Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Citrus County Chronicle Candidate Forum. My name is John Murphy, and I am the Director of Digital Strategies at the Citrus County Chronicle. For more than 130 years, the Citrus County Chronicle has been dedicated to covering the stories and issues that matter most to our community. For the past 40 years, we've had the absolute privilege of offering events just like this where citizens can hear directly from those seeking public office. Tonight, we have on the stage candidates for the County Commission District 5 race. We have incumbent Holly Davis with us. And while we invited the challenger, Paul Grogan, he was unable to be with us this evening. So here's how tonight's forum is going to work. Members of the Citrus County Chronicle's editorial board will be asking a series of questions on a variety of important topics. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. And then after the question period, the candidates will have an opportunity for a 2-minute close. For the candidates, just as a reminder, we're going to have a timekeeper in the front row, and you're going to see 2 different signs. You'll see a sign that gives you a 30-second warning, and then you'll have another sign that tells you your time is up. So with that, I will invite to the podium editorial board member Roger Krieger to start the Board of County Commission questioning and answers.
Thank you. First question. As the county experiences explosive growth, the need for development and the need to protect natural resources both matter to the future of Citrus. How would you weigh these needs when you evaluate proposals?
Excellent question, Roger. Thank you. So approximately somewhere around 55 to 60% of our area, that includes water, wetlands, and state forest and parks, can never be developed. Now, I say that with a little bit of recent chagrin, shall we say, because the governor just talked about giving away some of our state forest lands. I was heard on the dais to say, over my dead body in Citrus County. Fortunately, there was an enormous outcry bipartisan, and that seems to have gone away. But we are truly fortunate here on the Nature Coast, and nature is an absolutely critical part of what our future is, as well as our current status. Everything we do right now, the growth that you see is going into the middle of the county, and it has been planned to go there for decades, away from environmentally sensitive areas, on water and sewer lines. That's the place to put the growth. A lot of this stuff is put in motion decades ago. We cannot stop growth, but we can absolutely make sure that the right things are going in the right places.
Question 2. What are the 2 most important ways that the county BOCC should address homeless in Citrus County?
Did you say 2 most?
What would be the 2 most important ways?
Well, I am certainly a compassionate conservative. I believe in a hand up, not a handout. Daystar has been doing a beautiful job helping the homeless, along with some other nonprofit organizations. The key here is wraparound services. I always say that I was born on second base, and there are people that were not born not even knowing where the ball field is. How do you help those people become productive members of society? Some are productive members of society, but they're part of the ALICE households, asset limited, income constrained, employed. They are one bad day away from losing their job. They come out and find a flat tire on their car that they can't afford to replace, and they're late for work, and they lose their job. So it's the 2 most important things. One, I do believe at some point we are going to need some sort of centralized shelter like they have done in Tampa Hope and Pinellas Hope. I'm going to say that's without tax dollars, and that is absolutely 100% right-sized for the county. Meaning we are not going to pull homeless from outside the county, absolutely 100% not, and it has to have the wraparound services. A lot of people say that there's really not that many homeless, but there is. I want to say there's about 750 kids in the school system that are homeless. So it is a problem. We do need to address it. Again, hand up, not hand out. Those wraparound services include chemical dependency, alcohol dependency, job training, and so forth, to make sure that those folks can become employed members of society that actually pay into the tax system rather than weigh on the tax system.
Can you explain the county's current plan to repave roads, and is it adequate to meet the needs of the citizens?
Well, I think everybody should be a little mad about the state of our roads. This has been a problem that has been brewing for many, many, many years, specifically the last 8 when we rolled back taxes year after year after year. By my approximation, we had $74 million that was in that rollback that we could have instead kept up with our roads, or at least not fallen as far behind. By my estimation, it's a very rough estimation, that the 50% of our 1,900 miles of roads that are in poor, like 7 to 10, which is completely destroyed condition, would not exist. And that's the sad thing is that those that are 10 that need to be completely rebuilt, it costs us 4 times as much to rebuild those roads as it would have been to simply pave it on time back in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on. So that's just really poor fiscal management. Secondly, it's been shown, this was a national paper that came out, but it listed it by state. The average Florida driver spends an extra $425 on annual car maintenance because they drive on poor roads. So that's $425 that our roads has taken out of the average Citrus County driver's pocket. In contrast, by leaving the millage or restoring the millage to where it was in 2015, that cost the average homesteaded taxpayer $90. And roads were only a part of that. We also fully funded the sheriff and did some other really great investment things with that money. I am a fiscal conservative, but that means looking for the long ball and knowing what things cost year over year.
The county's committed $2 million for the construction of a mental health facility. What do you think are the next steps the county should take to address mental health issues in our community?
That's a big one. The LifeStream facility has not come online as fast as I would like. We have got to do more outreach with our nonprofit providers, and to my mind, we need to stop it before it happens. There's a lot of substance abuse in this county, and a lot of mental issues that go along with that. I think that a lot of the early adoption of smoking weed, quite frankly, by our kids, I know too many people firsthand. I know them. Their children ended up having psychotic breaks, and it was after they picked up marijuana, because the marijuana of today was not the marijuana of 1970s at all. It's bad stuff, and it's causing psychotic breaks when kids are having it at, and I say kids, 18, 19, 20 years old. And those kids, a lot of them can never, current medical science cannot bring them back. So I do not sit on the Public Safety Committee, so some of my colleagues are more up to speed on that, but it is certainly something that I am deeply worried about.
The current BOCC is considering using Municipal Services Taxing Unit, MSTU, to help pay for law enforcement for Citrus County. If enacted, an MSTU would separate the sheriff's budget from the county budget. Residents would see a separate line and a separate millage for law enforcement on their bills. If elected, would you support an MSTU for funding of the Citrus County Sheriff's Office?
I supported it when it came before us simply because it's another tool. What folks don't necessarily realize is that we are preempted by the state on many, many, many things. They tell us we have to do something, they'll give us an unfunded mandate. So what, for example, do we do if the state suddenly mandates that we have to have body-worn cameras on all of our sworn officers? Obviously, those are a good thing, but if they suddenly drop it on us, we may not be able to afford it within our millage system. Additionally, the MSTU does give greater transparency, and so when the sheriff happens to ask for whatever budget he needs, then he needs to be able to go to the public and explain why, and that MSTU will be as a line item. The sheriff's budget is currently roughly around 44 to 46% of our general fund, and that's an enormous amount. We have very little actually left over to run the county after we fund all of the or most of the constitutional officers. So I'm not saying that it's going to happen now, but we enacted the ordinance, so if we are pushed up against a wall and need to do it, we can. And so I don't know if I would vote for it or not. It would totally depends on the circumstances.
And lastly, how was the county's response to the recent hurricane?
So as the current chair, I am the board liaison to emergency management, and I've spotted a couple places where I think we can do better, and we're certainly going to look at improving. As someone once taught me the phrase, pursue perfection and find excellence along the way. I do think we did a whole lot of good with this storm. I did not look like this morning. I haven't looked like this in well over a week. I've been out in jeans and muck boots and polos out there in the community, and it's absolutely devastating. I've heard reports of anywhere from 1.5 feet to 3 feet above the no-name storm, which was our previous high. We have people that never got water in their houses, and their houses are destroyed. And you hear there's some ugly people or ugly statements on social media sometimes. And I think people forget that a lot of the folks in the flood zone are actually not wealthy people in big houses that can more easily absorb these hits. These are a lot of people living in apartments or tiny little homes that are right at ground level, and they lost everything. I was at the shelter yesterday, and this woman comes up to me, and she looks up at me. She's a little older lady with a cane, and she looks up to me and she says, "Are you from FEMA?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm one of your commissioners, and I'm here to see what I can do to help." She literally fell into my arms and started sobbing. And so, I must have hugged her for 3 minutes, and then she apologized for crying, and I said, no, ma'am, you just let it all out. I give good hugs. And fortunately, she was already registered with FEMA. Everything was fine. We got her an update, and she felt a little better. And sometimes, we women just need a good cry. But we've done a lot of things. I purposefully put a lot of the county effort behind Homosassa, Old Homosassa, and Ozello, simply because Crystal River has its own city government, and we're certainly working with them as well.
Lastly, the 2-minute summary, if you would like to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So what have I accomplished in 4 years, and what do I intend to do going forward? First and foremost, if you haven't met me personally, I would love to meet. I think that you can really gauge the honor and honesty of a person if you look them in the eye. I stepped up for this. I never even ran for 8th grade treasurer. I stepped up for this in 2020 because I have a background in strategic planning, and I was astounded that the county didn't have a strategic plan. And we got it started in January of 23, and it actually just won a national award, one of 3 counties in the entire United States to do so. So what does a strategic plan mean? It means that we have a shared vision of where we're going as a community. And that's encapsulated in 5 words: where nature and community thrive. This is a beautiful community. We pull together. My goodness, the pulling together for Helene has just been stunning. And we also want to thrive. We want to thrive physically as we age. I was the one that was taking care of my mom for the last 4 years of dementia. And we need our seniors to have continued low taxes, good health care, and a thriving social life. But above all, we are the Nature Coast, and we need to remain the Nature Coast. So that's what I've been doing. Not approving all the developments by any stretch of the imagination, trying to put the right things in the right places, getting our roads fully paved for the first time in possibly ever. And so you're going to see a lot of progress over the next year as we get to 20-year road resurfacing cycle. And we're just going to move forward into more of what we have that we love so much. Lots of nature, great social life, quality communities, quality health care. There's a lot to know in this job, and it's quite complex, and I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone at any time. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Good job.